Dear friends, DigiU project is online. Today we have a webinar and I'm Alexei Oglov. Welcome everybody. Today we have a pretty special webinar. We haven't talked for a while with our Director on Strategic Development in this format, the webinar format. And webinar with his involvement is always a special event, and we get really good response from our partners from all countries because information which Alexander gives us is always a very strategically important information. It is always very interesting, very educating, and it gives us an understanding of a major strategic vector of DGU ecosystem development. Today, Alexander is on a business trip in Dubai. He's been there for a while. And today, he's going to talk with us about his working tasks that he attempts to handle during this working trip. And hopefully, he's going to share some information if there is some valuable information that he can talk about, because a lot of events are happening. There are many meetings, plenty of negotiations with quite good outcomes. So with great pleasure, I am very happy to greet Alexander and ask him, Sasha, please tell us, what are you doing now in Dubai? What's the purpose of your trip? Please. Hi, Alexei. And my special greetings to all our partners, all investors, everybody who belongs to the DigiU ecosystem. That's true. I'm now in Dubai, and I have a number of meetings that was scheduled at the end of last year, and we've accumulated a number of them. So during those trips, it's already my third week here when I have these meetings. And at the same time, since October last year, just on AV, there have been tons of Skypes, Zooms, online meetings. 5 to 6 meetings per day is our standard. Sometimes we have 8 meetings, and now we are already allocating our time. Sometimes it's only Boris with his team. Sometimes it's only me with the team. The team now comprises over 30 people, and at the moment we are at a very important stage of fundraising when we'll get special financing from venture funds, and a lot of meetings on other topics also take place, and I'll try to briefly cover them as well. First of all, now we have plenty of meetings with various funds. It started, I believe, November last year, and we have more and more of them because some funds make decisions to invest, and then further on they go for the so-called introduction in their friendly funds, present our projects and ask them to communicate with us. So the more the better. We have more and more such meetings, and I can proudly announce that today we communicate at the highest level with so-called Tier 1, Tier 2 funds, which are the top players on the venture market in general, venture, crypto. And today, before this webinar, I already held 2 online meetings and 1 offline with the organizers of one of the largest summit on crypto issues that is scheduled on March, and we are now thinking whether AV should take part in this event or not. And we have a pretty high probability that we're going to take part in this event because the conditions are pretty good. And second, perhaps you know that our AV team one Metis hackathon. This is the ecosystem. This is built on the L2 solution, and it's a present for us to participate in the conference, which is scheduled on 20th to 23rd of May in Dubai. It's a pretty big event. Last year, we were visitors at this event, and we have a number of meetings with some funds. But at that time, we just started activities in this field. We were more trying to find out how to do it. Now we are already active participants on this market. And because these events are very close, it is very probable that in March we'll take part in 2 international conferences. There'll be people from perhaps 30 countries, 5,000 participants every year. Most probably we'll have a special stand from Ava, a special session for startups and for the team. So this is one part which I'm busy with and I'm working on it, being in Dubai. The second part is fundraising. I already have several meetings with representatives of various funds, with crypto accelerators, with various communities. The results are also quite good. And there are a number of closed chats where I am added to. For example, very recently they added me to a chat with about 400 various funds, various auditors, various exchanges, etc. And what is the most important is that now in this market, we are the insiders and we see how the processes are really taking place, how collaborations are built up, how decisions to invest are made. And we are already considered fully fledged participant of this market. Moreover, even we now are able to help as a project or as a fund because in the past several months, our network of contacts has already expanded over 100, definitely. And I believe maybe even 200 different funds, market makers, launchpads with who we communicate and from who we are able to choose with whom we're going to work. And some of them ask already us to introduce to somebody else, so we do it. And in return, other people, other players do the same for us. So this is roughly how it is developed. And now we understand to what extent this crypto community, this venture community is pretty tight. Everybody do know each other through 2 to 3 handshakes maximum. So funds do know each other, projects do know each other, and somebody can bring you to particular auditors, launchpads, introduce you to blockchains or systems. So we do communicate very closely with many of them. So during this time while I'm here, mostly in online format, there were a lot of meetings with market makers, and we've chosen those market makers with who we're gonna work. There have also been a number of meetings with launch pads like Pointly, Stocker Starters, Selenium, Avalanche, and some others. And we now are choosing with who we're gonna work, but we're not gonna work with those who want huge allocation or exclusive conditions. These are not of our interest, and I believe that DigiU will probably will work on some smaller but several places. With fundraisings, we are doing pretty nicely. Now we're at the stage of private sales. I'm not going to announce and give you some figures and names because it wouldn't be right to do it before the process is over. But there are some money which are not that smart. We are looking for smart money, something that would be helpful and useful for the projects with contacts, liquidity, some advice, introduction to new projects, and so on and so forth. There are tons of so-called pools, and we're going to touch it, talking about venture funds, community funds, which join together. get into private sales, but we do not let them to enter. Now we allow two pools that we've been known for quite a while, and after that there'll be tons of application to us, so we stopped collecting them, and now we will focus more on venture funds. One of the things that we are proud of, and this is the market trend currently, classic venture funds, which invest in startup, not crypto startup, and they are now actively looking into this direction because they understand that things are only kind of getting started there, and Web 3.0 going to be developing. And one of such funds is from the Silicon Valley, which is on a close connections with some top fund, for example, a 16Z multi-coin, which is also a monster on the crypto market. So if they invest, then typically it means a prime project, a global project. And now we are on the way to structure a deal with them because they have certain specifics. They're based in the US. Plus, it's going to be the first deal with them in the crypto format, a crypto project. So, of course, there are certain complications. Dear colleagues, just a second break. Well, it's difficult to add something here, and I call upon all our partners, the beginner investors who just registered or who just joined this webinar. Please listen. Please try to comprehend the scale of the events. It's a little bit over than a year since the idea emerged in our blockchain laboratory. And that was implemented based on the DigiU ecosystem. And now we talk about all these events, what Alexander presented to us. So certainly it's an indicator of that any person with the right approach, with the right efforts and discipline can implement any idea in the modern world. You just have to think at the large scale. You have to love what you do. And you can see this. Alexander, Boris are beautiful illustrators. Our technical director, Peter, Sergey, me to a certain extent. We are all the illustration of this. So I call upon everybody, please watch one of the first webinars. For example, last year, Boris was sharing the AVA idea, and just follow this trajectory that our company was managed to travel. Look at the project, look at the current project. Alexander, are you back? If you need to finish your idea, then do this, and then we'll move on. I have some questions to you. Well, generally, I think I gave some introductory remarks as to what happened in general on the AVA project and what's the reason for me being in Dubai. So first of all, it's the AVA communications with the funds, with Accelerator, the conferences in which we most probably will take part in March. And the second thing that in parallel, we do discuss with many our counter agents with who we meet a possibility for cooperation at the level of our venture fund with other venture funds, launchpads, accelerators, influencers, and majority of people are quite interested in the idea that we propose to them, that we translate to them to create kind of a Web 3.0 alliance that would be able to together analyze projects and support them, and especially support those projects that would like to build their decentralized applications based on the AVA protocol. Exceptionally interesting and really inspirational. And as you know, in January, we had several polls of our audience with regard to a separate venture fund, which would complete deals at different stages of various blockchain projects. And nicely speaking, the response was very positive from the current community, from the audience. So since January, we've been asked on a regular basis, so what's going on with the fund? When? So you were one of the initiators of us contemplating about this. So let's talk as to how this idea emerged and which market you believe is the best for implementing it. Yeah, okay. So the first thought is that we definitely will not be able to develop everything ourselves. We will not have enough resources, time, human resources, or even the number of ideas. That would not be enough. So the best way to scale and strengthen the ecosystem is to attract projects to the ecosystem and participate in those projects at the early rounds, in those projects that we believe in, that we think they can strengthen this ecosystem. So the idea of our venture fund has been with us for quite a while, but some time ago, to a considerable extent thanks to the AVA projects, we've got really close to implementing it at a high quality level, because we can launch simply a venture fund and try to get there at a cold attempt. Or it is possible to interact with other venture funds, with other projects, have a name on the crypto market and start from there. Currently, honestly speaking, it is already possible to launch a venture fund, or to be more precise, to start collecting money for the venture fund, because that's a bare minimum $5 million to be able to play. However, on the one hand, we focus to the maximum on the AVA projects, both me and Boris. But at the same time, we're building up this process. And I believe that in a few months, the focus of my attention will be shifted to the maximum to the venture fund, when the AVA project will be already launched in the mainnet. It will be a fully fledged working project at full swing, developing, and there'll be money for its development for the next 1 or 2 years. Then I'll be able to switch to a considerable extent to creating and developing the venture fund. But most probably, prior to this, we'll start collecting money for a particular product, DigiU Wealth, and there'll be a separate project, DigiU Ventures. So whoever will be willing to participate in it, probably the number of places will be limited. There'll be a minimal check for this, and also part of the venture fund profit, long-term profit, perhaps about 3 years horizon planning. Because when we look at the experience of other venture funds, for example, Silicon Valley, the planning horizon 5 years. On crypto market, it's a little bit shorter. There are some players whose horizon is 1 year, but we believe it's pretty short-term story and not very successful. My vision of the Horizon project, Horizon planning, is about 3 years, and we are working on it. I can add that we are getting deeper and deeper into this market, and if you know that right now on this market there are lots of pools, DAOs, community funds who get to the projects and just agree to play in it. And until recently, it worked nicely. People earned really good money, but practically all projects have understood that it's not the best investment for them, because people want to sell their tokens as quickly as possible at the maximum price, which would crash their rate. And it's not that interesting for the project. So pools in project means that a project is not very good because not that many are willing to invest in it. I don't know whether you answered your question or not. Generally, yes, you answered. I only would add that community and expert assessment on a particular market at a particular moment is a considerable advantage for any project in order to solve practically any kind of issues. And we were able to see this last year with a story on the stock market when the community, there was a fourth gain stopper. So overall, the community and the expert level joining together typically is brilliant. And in DigiU, everything with the community is very, very nice. And as you see from what Alexander told us, things are even better with the expert level on this market. So it's logically to combine those things and at some point to expect a product which would be presented first of all to whom? To the community and the ecosystem of the DigiU. At every webinar, we'll try to explain those complex things with the maximum simple words. For example, Piotr he tried to speak in a very plain language about artificial experience. So Ava, when we talk about this, we also try to present it in a very understandable words. So now I believe that our partners have only one simple question. What can this give to me? So I also want to ask this question. And I also like to add what this can give to our DigiU ecosystem. Let's try from this angle. Okay, let me take one step back and then answer this question. If we talk about developing our venture fund, then so far we see it as a fund, not pool. What's the difference? Pools collect funds, collect money to any particular project separately. And then we want to operate on this market as a fund. So, for example, for 3 years, tentatively, we attract the money and we operate as a fund. And then perhaps the money will be attracted not only from the community, because we communicate. Well, look how the market is organized. We have the so-called funds of funds. For example, 7 state fund in South Korea, Bahrain, and some other countries, mostly Arabic countries, and they all invest through one fund. I'm not gonna give you the name, but I met them in Dubai, and we do negotiate with them. We wanted them to become a strategic partner. This fund, in its turn, can invest only 20% directly in the projects, and 80% it invests through other projects, through other funds that are considered quite big players on the market, like Polychange, Cryptos, Reciprocal, this and some others. These are good, serious players. So for us, it was a discovery that the market is organized in such a way. Funds invest in other funds. We have pretty good expertise level on the market in terms of the technical side, in terms of logistics, network. So there is really high probability that some of those funds can also invest through our fund in developing the AVA ecosystem, the DGU ecosystem. So we see a possibility of creating a certain venture fund that would support the projects that would like to develop based on AVA and also invest in the DGU system. Second, we see that now there is a clear trend for developing meta-universe, DeFi projects, And we see that at the moment, about 95% on those markets, they would disappear. It's kind of a hype, but this sphere in general will definitely be developed. And within normal meta universes, we're going towards this direction, developing our own meta universe, not isolated one, but the one that could be joining some others. And within them, we already see possibility for developing projects, artificial intelligence project as a meta universe, as an environment for digital twins. And it is already being implemented for certain projects that can imitate movement of avatar in the universe on the camera that look at you and see you as an ordinary person. And there can be many such products. We do understand that we on our own wouldn't be able to do it. So one of the ways to achieve it is a venture fund. And of course, we're going to continue developing it. Answering your question as to what it can give to a DigiU investor, a DigiU partner, and to the DigiU ecosystem. First, talking about the ecosystem, these are the projects that can strengthen it and integrate with each other. And we see that one of the base level for developing this ecosystem will be the AVA project, because it's a zero level for blockchain ecosystem, according to various analysts, particularly analysts from venture funds. 2022 will be the year of cross-chain solutions, cross-chain projects. And we do believe that it is now a must. There are a lot of blockchains on the market with their pluses and minuses. But there are no good solutions, or there are very few solutions that can combine, integrate them. Very few teams do something close to the level where Aver is now. Talking about particular investors, there are two options. They can either invest in a particular product, understanding that these are venture investments, and they plan that those investments are, for example, for 3 years. And they understand that they're going to be aimed for close transactions in which typical investors cannot get, or those projects will not be very good because pools do not allow to enter in the really good projects. We already have made arrangements with a number of funds that are interested in jointly discussing the projects, analyzing them, particularly from technical point of view. And there are a number of pools who already approach us seeking our advice and asking us to evaluate a particular project as to what do we think about it. And it can be a particular product for people, and also part of the profit, venture fund profit, will be allocated between DigiU shareholders. So DigiU shareholders are maximum diversified and get maximum profit from all company products. They can earn less than in a venture fund if they invest there directly, but in any case, venture fund is a high risk enterprise. So if now for 2 years we go into the bear market, there'll be a decline on this market, and most likely those investments in the very near future will not be very successful. But we are absolutely confident that in a long-term prospect, this market will continue growing, judging as to what we see, how the market is developing, what players come here. Even those players with who we communicate, we see only rapid explosive development, and classic venture fund are very active. They look and they think how they can start investing in this market. So this is my vision. Have I answered your question? Yeah, it's more than an exhaustive answer. Once again, I call upon all our partners who are gonna watch this webinar. Please contemplate on those words, understand the approach as to how everything is done in the DigiU ecosystem. And as Alexander said correctly, there is an understanding that the fund is most probably gonna be a product not for everybody. There is particular specifics on the market, and perhaps there'll be not enough places in this fund for all the DGU community. So it's only those who manage will manage to join it. So upon listening to us, get ready, get ready. Very soon there'll be more detailed information, and we'll do everything to make sure that this product developed and is beneficial to the DigiU ecosystem. If you didn't understand that much, or you are just a beginner investor, or you just joined an interesting webinar using the modern technologies, okay, you can purchase DigiU securities. And as Alexander mentioned, it's the maximum diversifications in the field of high technologies, such high-tech areas as artificial intelligence and blockchain. It's difficult to add anything to this. Everything is within the DigiU ecosystem. Everything is very simple. You get on the site, you chose the package, get the securities, then you get to the KVC and you enjoy the events, you get the dividends, and you are a co-owner of the modern technologies. The only other thing that I would ask, Sasha, how would you briefly wish to our investors and those who are preparing to become an investor? You know, it's our tradition because Piotr, Boris, they constantly wish something. I don't remember that I've asked you about it. Well, it's my sincere wish to everybody. First of all, stay healthy. I myself got ill recently. I believe it was Omicron. And I think it's the key. Stay healthy. Second, I wish everybody to find an opportunity, to find time to see that the world is changing. Technologies is changing, digital technologies, blockchain market, the cryptocurrency market is not so marginal, where very strange people do something strange. Institutional, large players, the largest venture fund, do invest in this sector. The best brains of our planet develop solution in this field. Very recently, our specialists who audit the AVA code found some deficiency and already contacted the professor of Stanford University who developed this, and we found people who use it because this is the community where everyone helps each other. On the one hand, we have competing projects. On the other hand, everybody wants to develop Web 3.0 technologies because it would benefit everybody. So my wish to you is do immerse in this world. See as soon as possible that this is not just a transient story. You know, like some time ago, internet appeared. Now Web 3.0 is emerging. It's a decentralized technology where we have crypto alliances, currencies, we have decentralized banks, decentralized companies, decentralized exchanges, and so on. And it would be great to start understanding what it is about and how to use it. And of course, I wish to everybody, do invest in this sector because this is the field where there is a clear social lift, where one, being a successful investor with lucky situations, you can become real wealthy and create good capital, even with small initial funds. And we can facilitate this. So if you are within this theme, if you have some projects, if you have developers, then you can also discuss it with us. Discuss certain development of your project or the projects of people who you know, because without exaggerations, we are now on this market. We communicate with all my players. For example, mother and uncle of Vitalik Kuterin are the founders of company. One of them through fund, another one invest to us, and the mother of Vitalik Kuterin, we won a hackathon, and she really praised our project. And there is another mining project a couple of years ago, 50,000 founders of various startups, not only in crypto sector, about 15% in crypto, about 500,000 investors community, about 1,100 venture fund. This is the site which unites startup and investors. And they themselves say that AVA is a project which is of great interest to them, and such feedback we get not only from them. And they're interested in our community, in DigiU. DigiU is an accelerator. So most probably we're also going to cooperate with them through our venture fund. So please go deeper. Communicate with those who already do something in this field. But at the same time, do not wait. Do not wait that every deal will be with X. For example, you invested $100 and you get $100,000. That's, of course, a rare situation. It's a rare luck. But if you get into the market and get comfortable there, then of course you can find fantastic diamonds there. Overall, that's it that I wanted to say. Please follow DigiU News, follow AVA News, follow the news on developing our venture funds. And if you have a community associated with cryptocurrency, do communicate there, develop those contacts, because they'll be very simple, maybe one dire partnership program, and there'll be another opportunity for you to increase your assets, increase your income. Alexander, thank you so much. I'm going to join what you just said. Please study, go deeper. Please learn more about those opportunities, which incredibly often appear in our life. So, dear friends, first of all, thank you so much to Alexander. Thank you for those webinars. Thank you. Thank you, everybody who joined us today. So, good luck. Stay healthy, watch the news, and become the owner of modern technologies. Alexander, goodbye. See you soon. Thank you so much. Dear colleagues, take care, and thank you very much for the time you gave us.